In this review and unboxing or unpackaging, I'm going to talk about a specialty tool made to help you build your AR15. This is a product that's pretty much exclusively offered by Brownells, and it is a slab-sided 3/32 roll pin punch that is designed specifically to install the bolt catch pivot pin, and it is made out of a steel. They don't say specifically what steel, but I have to assume it's some sort of a carbon type steel. It's 4 inches long, or 10.2 centimeters. It's 3/32 or 2.44 millimeters, which is the diameter of the tip, and it retails for about $18 from Brownells. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm normally if I run into a task and there's a specialized tool for it, I'll either manufacture my own tool or take one and modify it, or I'll buy a specialized tool. So I have quite a collection of specialized tools that are specific for either building ARs or AKs or working on pistols. You know, there's all sorts of specialized tools. Now, if you're only going to build one rifle or your one AR-15, it doesn't make economic sense to invest in a whole slew of specialized tools that you may only use once. In those situations, you may want to either borrow tools from other people who might have them, or repurpose existing tools and basically make them work and fight with it a little bit to get your installation done. So with that said, if you've watched my previous videos, you've seen me use standard roll pin punches to drive the bolt catch pivot pin in, and I've used smaller screwdrivers and gratuitous amounts of tape to protect the finish on the lower receiver, and you can get the job done with those tools. They're just not ideal, so you have to struggle with them a little bit. This Brownells part, obviously from Brownells.com, carries a part number of 080-216-012. And it's one of many tools on my bucket list that I keep saying that I was going to buy and never got around to buying. I finally picked one up. So let's rip this open and we'll take a look at it. I have not looked at it yet. So this will be my first look at it. So hopefully I don't get embarrassed and end up with a broken tool or something like that. And that's happened before when I'm making videos and I don't look at the product beforehand. So let's take a look at their instructions. Brownells ships pretty much all of their tools with something like this. This is a nice 8.5 by 11 instruction sheet. They 3-hole punch it, so if you're anal like me and you have a 3-ring binder and you keep all this stuff in there for reference, you can add this to your collection. Talks to you about how to use the tool and safety mechanisms, and make sure your gun's unloaded and all that good stuff. And let's take a look. Okay, now you can see that this resembles pretty much a standard punch for the most part, except it's basically got half of it machined away. You've got pretty much a solid hammer point right here, and then this flat part right here, which can lie against your lower receiver, and then your pin punch area. Even your pin punch area coming down right into this area has been machined away. So this is real thin down here. I've seen this before in the Brownells videos. This obviously is not a punch that I would use for all sorts of different purposes on an AR build. Since this is designed specifically for that bolt catch pivot pin for removal and installation. This is a tool that I'm going to allocate just for that particular purpose. I don't want to use it more so than what's really needed. And since it is a roll pin punch, let's see if you can see that. The roll pin punch has a little ball on the end of it, so it will recess into your roll pin so it doesn't slide off when you're trying to hammer it. And that's really a problem that you run into if you try to use a standard punch on a roll pin. They have a tendency to slide off, and if you're not careful, they'll slide off and mar your finish. So these punches that are specific to roll pins are kind of a must for your tool bag if you're going to be working on ARs to any extent. So let me go ahead and get my AR. I actually don't have anything I need to build right at the moment, but let me grab a AR lower receiver, and I'll kind of show you how this would be used in an assembly. Okay, with lower receiver down here, the purpose of this tool, the reason it was designed, is for actually removing your bolt catch, and it is designed specifically so it will sit right like this, and you can hammer out the pin without damaging your lower receiver. So you can see the cutaway of the material, the purpose behind the shaving of the material on the tip right there. You can see that is done so this all aligns up just like so. Now, I would still cover this with some tape to protect the surface, but that's more or less how you would utilize this tool. You can use the tool right like this to pound out that pin, and it'll come out real easy. You are not supposed to pound these pins out towards the muzzle, because as you pound this pin out, it will impact this surface here and gouge it. So when you pound these out, you pound them out towards your buffer tube. Now, as for installation, Brownells doesn't make a whole lot of mention about using this to install the pins. As you can see right here, you probably could use this for installing the pin, but the cutaway design of this really is not going to give you, at least from what I can see here, a lot of advantage. Basically, you've got a ridge down over here. It's just, you can probably use a standard roll pin punch, or use a roll pin holder to get your roll pin started. That's what I do. And then I'll use my small jeweler's hammer to pound the roll pin in. I don't necessarily need a punch to do that. I can use a punch, but I've had good luck pounding these in with the jeweler's hammer without using a punch at all. So this is more or less specifically just for removing the pin. And how often are you going to need to remove your pins after you get them installed? Well, let's say you built your, let's say not very often. But let's say you built your lower receiver and you used a standard bolt catch, and then you saw one of the newest and greatest enhanced bolt catches made by, Strike Industries, for example, and you wanted to install that, and now you're going to have to remove this roll pin to install it. So that's where this tool would come into play. Could you get by with a regular roll pin punch on this job for removing this roll pin? It really would be pretty tricky with this raised surface right here. You'd have to come in with a roll pin at an angle, and that's not ideal. I know I've removed a few of these. Well, I've removed more than a few of them, but using a regular roll pin punch is challenging. Let's just say that. It can be done. This tool just is going to make it much easier. On a upcoming build, which I will be documenting on my channel, I will use this tool. Well, let's just say I'll demonstrate the tool. I probably won't necessarily need this tool to install a bolt catch, but if I install a bolt catch, I might try to use this tool to install it, and then I'll use the tool to remove it just for demonstration purposes. So that'll be in an upcoming video when I get to building a new LoRa receiver. I'm going to try and use a lot of the newer tools I've done reviews on that you may not have seen me use in any of the other previous builds. So that's going to end this particular review and unpackaging of the Brownells bolt catch pin punch model number 080-216-012.